I think my experience with StemRx started from me having my first consultation with a doctor over the phone. This was even before I made my decision to come to StemRx. She was very calm. She took her time to explain to me the procedure that my son would be getting if I should decide to go ahead with them. So from day one, everybody just swung into action and they took blood samples without wasting much time. I think by day 3, we already got cells, and there was further discussion with the doctors on duty about extra treatments, which weren't discussed before, and I was happy to go ahead with that. That was also scheduled appropriately, and I am happy. I could already see some changes in him, like this morning, he was reciting his numbers without looking at any board or anything. It's a bit more chatty as well. So I think we're just going to go back home, continue with speech therapy, occupational therapy, and just dump him amongst children his age and see how he gets on. Okay, my name is Dr. Benny Williams. I'm from the UK and I'm here at StemRx for my son's treatment.
Can you explain us a bit about what were the symptoms or condition that led you to seek treatment, and how did they affect the daily life?
This is my third baby. I have 2 babies before. So I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. I think from having those 2 and then having him, I could see the differences, how he's growing. And obviously he wasn't reaching his milestones on time. He wasn't doing certain things he was supposed to be doing. I mean, if I could remember, he didn't walk until he was about 20 months old, which was quite strange. So I think from there was a lot of questions raised, and he also wasn't talking much. He wasn't calling mama, he wasn't calling dada. Like if he's hungry, he would, rather than ask for milk or water or whatever he wants, he would just take you to the kitchen. So then I started researching into treatment for stem cell.
How did you come to know about the treatment options available at StemRx? Were there any concerns or fear you had to overcome before coming here?
Like I mentioned that I already have 2 kids. I could see what they could do and I could see what my little boy wasn't doing. So I started looking into, how we could help him, considering he was born early as well. He was born at 32 weeks. I had quite a few other options within India itself. There was, without mentioning names of clinics, there were 2 other clinics I was considering, as well as StemRx. So on Google as well, I searched for the best stem cell clinic in India, and stem cell came up as well as another clinic. So I contacted both of them as well as another clinic, and I think I had a consultation with one of their doctors in StemRx, and she was very nice. I asked a lot of questions about the procedure, and she explained to me exactly what they'll be doing, and it fit into what I'm looking for. And amongst all other questions that I asked, which I chose StemRx eventually.
Have you taken any treatment elsewhere before for this condition?
No. So in the UK, because I'm from the UK, a child wouldn't normally be diagnosed until between the age of 4 and 5. So it's a long-winded process, especially if the child is not severe. So Ayala wasn't severe, so they were not taking it as serious as I would expect them to do. So there was a huge waiting list, and I knew the best time to get him treatment is now, rather than wait till he's about 4, 5, 6 or 7.
How did StemRx medical team support you in making that choice?
I think my experience with StemRx started from me having my first consultation with a doctor over the phone. This was even before I made my decision to come to StemRx. She was very calm. She took her time to explain to me the procedure that my son would be getting if I should decide to go ahead with them. So I think that kind of like put me at peace already. And then upon arrival, before I actually arrived, the admin I was in contact with gave me 2 drivers that were going to come and pick me up at the airport. So that was quite reassuring. So we arrived in the early hours of the morning, and they were like, oh, do you want to have breakfast? Do you want water? I'm like, no, we're fine. So that was quite reassuring, because they wanted to make sure myself and my son were good. And upon arriving, there was no breathing space. They were coming in, from nurses to doctors to the physio team. Everybody was just coming in. Oh, we're going to take blood now. Okay, I'm like, can we rest? No, you're not resting. You're not here to play. So it was literally from the get-go, everybody was nice from all different departments.
So what was your first impression about StemRx when you came down in here, apart from starting with the treatment? How was your experience?
So I didn't have much expectation, but I do have some friends that are Indians in the UK, and they were nice. So I suppose maybe my expectations were formed from the friends that I already have. Even though I didn't explain to them that I was going to India and that I was seeking this treatment, I just have good friends that were from here, and I thought, why not?
How would you describe the overall environment and ambience of your facility?
Everybody that I come in contact with within the clinic was always watching out for us. Are we okay? Do we need anything? Is there anything they could do to make us feel better? So the overall ambience and environment is clean, because it is an hospital environment. So the cleaners are always coming in at different intervals to take out plates or to mop the floor. So in regards to, is it contributing to the overall recovery? Yes, it is, because everything is sterile and clean. I do have specific experiences that stood out for me. I think one of them throughout my time here is actually with the physio team. They are all amazing and they are all so good. And when you come in to that department, everybody knows what they're doing. They just get on with it. Mom, you're here. If you're on that table, you go to that table or that chair. So that department is amazing. Another department that stood out for me is the food department. They try as much as possible to cater to your need. Like if you have any special dietary requirements, they ask you, do you want to try this? Do you want to try that? And they try and cater to that as much as possible. Now, in terms of the treatment itself, I think, so from day one, everybody just swung into action and they took blood samples without wasting much time. I think by day 3, we already got cells, and there was further discussion with the doctors on duty about extra treatments which weren't discussed before, and I was happy to go ahead with that. That was also scheduled appropriately, and from day 1 of the treatment, I could actually see some results in my little boy, and I was quite pleased with that.
And then how would you describe your relation or his relation with Dr. Mahajan?
Obviously, he's still a kid. He's only 2.5, and I don't know, I can't speak for him, but I feel like he's still a kid, so I can't say much about what he feels. But from me, I can talk about my interaction with Dr. Mahajan. He was open, he was ready to answer my questions. If I have any queries, I could go to him. He's approachable and is willing to answer any questions that I have. Considering I don't offer chocolate to my boy, which would have been the easiest thing to do, I did personally have a challenge in trying to juggle how to get his sugar up. Let me put it that way, which wasn't a challenge for the doctors, but it was a challenge for me. So oftentimes what I did was to melt the chocolate in his bottle, and then I was able to offer it to him, and that worked. So overall experience, I'm happy. I'm happy that I've come to StemRx. I'm happy that I chose StemRx out of all the other clinics. It wasn't only clinics in India that I was considering. There was another clinic in Panama. There was also another clinic called Swiss Medical in Serbia, but I felt like StemRx in particular would be able to offer me the kind of treatment I was wanting for my child, and I am happy. I could already see some changes in him. Like this morning, he was reciting his numbers without looking at any board or anything. It's a bit more chatty as well. So I think we're just going to go back home, continue with speech therapy, occupational therapy, and just dump him amongst children his age and see how it gets on. So I would say when dealing with child that have maybe developmental delay, ADHD or autism, or special children, there's no age limit. Even with my experience in StemRx, I've actually seen a mother that came with a 22-year-old daughter to seek help for her. So I would say, regardless of how old your child is, don't rule it out that they could never get better with their condition. Even if they couldn't be cured completely, they could still get better in managing whatever symptoms it is they are going through. So don't give up, try it, then at least you know you've tried your best. Yesterday when I went to get my teeth done, he wouldn't sit, he wanted to sit with me on the table. So I put him in between my legs, and I had the YouTube on for him. So the doctor called one of the guys to come and take my phone so I could rest. We gave the phone to the guy. My son took the phone from his hand and put it back in my hand like, no, we don't need you. Go. He knows. Exactly. So, is that all the questions?